Gotham has always had its myths, its stories, its legends. But in the center of this dark and troubled city, one legend has persisted through the years. A shadowy figure cloaked in darkness, a symbol of vengeance and justice. Batman, Gotham's eternal protector, its symbol of hope and fear, its vigilante savior. But what if everything we've been led to believe about Gotham's Dark Knight is wrong? What if the man we know as Bruce Wayne isn't actually Batman? What if the real truth is something far darker, far more complex than any of us could have imagined? For years, the story has been the same: Bruce Wayne, orphaned at a young age by the tragic deaths of his parents, driven by grief and a desire for justice, took on the mantle of Batman to protect Gotham from the underworld of crime and corruption. But what if Bruce Wayne's role in Gotham is not as simple as it seems? What if the true identity of Batman is not Bruce Wayne at all? In the stillness of Gotham's shadows, as the bat signal lights up the night sky, the questions begin to surface. What if Bruce Wayne is not the Batman? What if the persona of Gotham's protector is a carefully crafted illusion, a mask worn by someone else altogether? Could the man we know as Gotham's billionaire playboy be a mere pawn in a larger, darker scheme? This isn't about debunking the legend of Batman. Rather, it's about rethinking the very fabric of his existence. Is Batman simply a role, a persona that can be inhabited by anyone, or is it a deeply ingrained identity that transcends any single person's will? What if the true Batman is a figure far more mysterious, far more distant than anyone has ever imagined? The idea seems almost impossible, a conspiracy theory unworthy of serious consideration. After all, Bruce Wayne has long been accepted as the face of Batman, the man who took on the mantle of justice, hiding his true identity behind the wealth and glamour of Wayne Enterprises. He's the vigilante who roams Gotham's streets, fighting crime and corruption, seemingly at war with the very criminals he's sworn to defeat. But beneath this narrative, something doesn't quite add up. What if the truth about Bruce Wayne and his connection to Batman is something entirely different? At the heart of this theory lies one undeniable fact: Bruce Wayne is not the only person who could wear the mantle of Batman. Gotham's crime-ridden streets, its tangled web of corruption, its endless night, demand a protector, a symbol of justice, who rises when the city calls for help. But what if the real Batman is a figure who is not as bound by the limitations of Bruce Wayne's psyche? What if the person wearing the cape and cowl is someone else entirely? The concept of Batman as a role. It's essential to understand the nature of Batman as a concept. Batman is not just a man, he's a symbol. He represents something far greater than any one individual. Gotham needs Batman not as Bruce Wayne, but as the symbol of hope in a city swallowed by darkness. Batman is more than a person. He is an idea, a philosophy, a force for justice. Batman's identity is something that can be worn and embodied by anyone, as long as they are willing to sacrifice their very soul for Gotham's protection. This theory suggests that Bruce Wayne, the man with the resources and the wealth to become Gotham's protector, is nothing more than the public face of a much larger and far more complex operation. Could Bruce Wayne be just one piece of a larger puzzle, a puppet, controlled by the real force behind the mask? After all, Batman's dual identity has always been about deception and subterfuge. What if the public persona of Bruce Wayne is merely the distraction, the cover story, and the real Batman is someone who has taken on the mantle for their own reasons? Consider the question of motivation. Bruce Wayne's motivations are obvious. His parents were murdered in front of him, and he spent his entire life seeking justice, revenge, and redemption. But what if there were others who had the same motivations, or perhaps even stronger, darker desires? Could there be someone who adopted the Batman persona to avenge their own personal trauma, or to take the fight against Gotham's evil to a place Bruce could never go? The theory of multiple Batman, an unseen legacy. There's a certain power in the idea that Batman could be a mantle passed down, a role played by more than just one person. In Gotham's darkest moments, when the city needs Batman, the mask could be taken up by anyone who is willing to bear the weight of its responsibility. What if Bruce Wayne wasn't the first Batman? And what if he won't be the last? This opens up the possibility that there have been multiple Batman throughout Gotham's history, each wearing the mask for different reasons. Each of these Batman figures would be individuals with different personalities, backgrounds, and motivations, but all share one thing in common. They are all willing to sacrifice their identity, their humanity, to protect Gotham. Batman as a symbol is far more significant than any single individual. The idea of Batman can live on, even if Bruce Wayne's life comes to an end. The city would still need him. Gotham needs a Batman, and the role must continue. But what if the true Batman is someone whose identity has been hidden from everyone, including Bruce Wayne? Perhaps the man we know as Bruce Wayne is just another actor in a much larger drama, one in which the real Batman is a figure who has carefully manipulated Bruce Wayne's life to achieve a greater purpose. Perhaps the role of Batman is more strategic than emotional, more preordained than a personal vendetta. What if Bruce Wayne is a mere mask, a pawn used by a greater force to carry out a larger vision? Bruce Wayne as a puppet, the hidden hand. A particularly chilling version of this theory posits that Bruce Wayne isn't Batman at all, but rather a puppet. A man manipulated by someone who understands the power of the Batman persona. This hidden figure could be someone with a far more calculating nature, using Bruce Wayne as a vehicle to carry out their vision of Gotham's salvation. Bruce Wayne is the face of the legend, but the true Batman is someone working in the shadows, orchestrating everything from behind the scenes. This theory proposes that the real force behind Batman could be someone close to Wayne Enterprises, perhaps even a trusted ally, or someone within his inner circle. Alfred Pennyworth, the ever-loyal butler, could very well be the one pulling the strings, guiding Bruce Wayne's every move, and ensuring that Gotham's protector lives on. Perhaps Alfred, with his own hidden past and deep connection to the Wayne family, understands the importance of the Batman more than anyone else. He could be the one to create Batman as a symbol, guiding Bruce Wayne into the role without Bruce fully realizing the depths of the deception at play. Alternatively, the true Batman could be someone completely outside of Bruce Wayne's circle. This person might be someone who has spent their life watching Gotham's decline, and after carefully studying Bruce Wayne's actions and understanding the intricacies of the Batman persona, they could have adopted the role as a means to continue what they believe to be Gotham's salvation, even if it means never revealing their true identity. The Batman legacy, a lifelong mission. One of the most disturbing possibilities is that the role of Batman could be an inherited mission, so legacy passed down through generations of individuals who were destined to take on the persona. Bruce Wayne might not have been the first to wear the cowl, and he may not be the last. The idea that the Batman identity is passed on opens the door to a long history of individuals who took up the mantle, each driven by their own motives, each believing they are fulfilling the greater purpose Gotham demands. In this scenario, Bruce Wayne may have been the latest in a line of individuals, each trained, conditioned, and prepared to take on the responsibility of Gotham's protector, but never truly understanding the full scope of the role. Perhaps Bruce Wayne was not the first man to wear the mask, and his story is just a chapter in the much larger, mysterious history of Batman. What if Gotham's protector is not a single man, but a title passed down like a knight's mantle, a protector whose identity changes as time goes on? The revelation. The true revelation of this theory is chilling. The real Batman could be someone entirely unexpected. It could be someone who has spent their life watching Gotham fall, waiting for the right moment to assume the role of Gotham's protector, using the persona of Batman to do what no one else can: save the city. Whether it's someone within Bruce Wayne's circle or a shadowy figure hidden in the city's depths, the notion that Bruce Wayne is not Batman forces us to rethink everything we thought we knew about Gotham, its protector, and the mysterious force that controls the city's destiny. The truth is out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered. What if Bruce Wayne is just one piece of a larger puzzle, a puzzle that is yet to be solved? Batman is more than a man. He's an idea, and ideas cannot be destroyed, only passed on, evolving through time. Bruce Wayne may not be Batman, but the idea of Batman will always live on, no matter who wears the mask. The only question is, who is the real Batman, and when will the world learn the truth? The enigma of Batman is one that continues to captivate the world. Over the years, Gotham has come to rely on the Caped Crusader, seeing him as a symbol of hope in a city drowning in despair. But what if, in reality, Bruce Wayne is not the Batman? What if the man we've come to know as Gotham's protector isn't the one wearing the cowl every night? What if the true identity of Batman is something more elusive, far darker, and more twisted than anyone could ever imagine? The story of Batman as we know it is one shaped by legends, myths, and assumptions. For decades, Gotham's most notorious criminal figure has been Bruce Wayne. But what if he's simply a facade, a mask constructed to divert attention from the real force that protects the city? After all, Gotham has always had its fair share of mysteries, and it's possible that the mystery of Batman's true identity is the greatest one of all. Bruce Wayne, orphaned and driven by vengeance, has long been seen as the perfect candidate for Gotham's dark vigilante. His tragic backstory, his immense wealth, his advanced intellect, and his access to state-of-the-art technology made it all too easy to believe that he could be the night's lone hero, hiding behind the mantle of Batman. Yet, as time goes on, there's something unsettling about this narrative. It feels almost too perfect, too clean, like a storyline crafted with meticulous precision. What if the true Batman is not Bruce Wayne at all? What if Batman is merely a role that can be taken up by anyone, someone who adopts the persona to fight Gotham's corruption, a symbolic representation of justice rather than an individual? What if the person wearing the cowl is someone else entirely? This thought is difficult to fathom, especially considering the deeply ingrained connection between Bruce Wayne and Batman in the public's eye. Yet, what if Bruce Wayne's presence as Gotham's billionaire playboy and his involvement in Wayne Enterprises were merely distractions, an elaborate smokescreen to keep Gotham from seeing the truth? Perhaps Bruce, with his tragic loss and need for justice, has unwittingly become part of a larger scheme, and the true Batman exists somewhere in the background, orchestrating the fight for Gotham's soul from the shadows. The very idea of Batman could be one that's passed down or assumed by different individuals, each embodying the role of Gotham's protector at different times in the city's history, like a legacy, each person carrying the same mission, but the mask never truly belonging to any one man. If this were true, then Bruce Wayne could be nothing more than a pawn in a much larger game, a figurehead that Gotham sees as its hero, while the real force behind the Batman persona remains unknown. Imagine for a moment that Bruce Wayne is not the first Batman, nor will he be the last. What if Batman is a legacy, a role handed down through generations to whoever is willing to take on the mantle of Gotham's protector? This creates the possibility that Bruce Wayne may have been chosen not because of his inherent qualities, but because of the resources and opportunities available to him, making him a perfect candidate to carry out a mission set by someone or something else. Gotham's needs, its eternal battle between light and dark, could have called for multiple Batmans over the years, each taking on the mantle when Gotham's circumstances dictated it. This could explain the profound psychological nature of the Batman persona, a symbol born out of a city that has lived in fear for far too long, a symbol that can be embodied by anyone with a resolve to fight for justice. The truth is chilling. Gotham, like its protector, is constantly shifting, constantly evolving, and perhaps the identity of Batman too is not meant to be permanent. Bruce Wayne's involvement in Wayne Enterprises and his public persona may only be a mask in itself, a distraction from the real identity of Batman. Maybe the man who wears the cowl is someone who has been carefully chosen, someone who has spent their life watching Gotham's decline and has finally decided to take action, someone far more elusive than Bruce Wayne could ever be. Perhaps Bruce Wayne was chosen as the figurehead, the face of Gotham's protector, but the true Batman is someone else, someone who hides in the shadows behind the intricate layers of wealth and status, guiding the narrative without ever revealing themselves. Could Alfred Pennyworth, Gotham's most trusted butler, be orchestrating the entire spectacle from the shadows? Alfred's mysterious past, his military background, and his deep connection to the Wayne family make him an intriguing candidate for someone who understands the true power of Batman's symbol. Perhaps in his own way, Alfred has been grooming Bruce Wayne for years, preparing him to take on a mantle that would require the sacrifice of everything. Alfred, knowing that Gotham needs Batman, could very well have been orchestrating the entire charade from the start, guiding Bruce Wayne into the role of Batman while keeping the true identity of the protector of Gotham hidden. Or maybe Bruce Wayne isn't the true Batman at all, and the persona of Gotham's protector has always been more than one individual. It is possible that the mantle of Batman is simply a role, a title passed on to anyone willing to carry the weight of Gotham's darkness. Batman, the myth, could be a symbol that transcends any one individual. Perhaps Bruce Wayne, with his wealth and status, was simply a convenient vessel to carry out a larger mission, one that requires not just strength and intellect, but the willingness to be part of Gotham's eternal struggle. The theory becomes even more unsettling when we consider the possibility that Bruce Wayne may never have been Batman at all. Instead, the person who dons the mask, who steps into the shadows every night to patrol the streets, may be someone who has infiltrated the Wayne family or been trained by unknown forces to assume the role of Gotham's protector. Gotham's need for Batman is so great, so deep, that it's possible that the true Batman could be anyone, someone who has taken on the mantle for their own reasons, for their own purposes. Bruce Wayne is, after all, not the only man with the ability to become Gotham's protector. The idea that Bruce Wayne could be a pawn in a much larger game, a figurehead of a role that has been filled by different individuals throughout history, brings a whole new layer of complexity to the Batman mythos. Gotham needs its protector, and whoever is willing to sacrifice everything to live in the shadows, to give up their humanity, will become the symbol. The truth behind Bruce Wayne's role in the Batman legacy may never be fully understood, but the legend of Gotham's Dark Knight is far larger than the life of any single man.
The mask of Batman is not just one person's identity, but a symbol that can be passed on, inherited, and worn by anyone who chooses to fight for Gotham's soul. And the question remains, if Bruce Wayne isn't actually Batman, then who is? And what does that mean for Gotham, for its future, and for the legacy of Batman itself?
The idea that Bruce Wayne is not actually Batman begins to take on an even more mysterious and unsettling dimension when we begin to consider the sheer implications of what this would mean for Gotham and the Bat legacy. If Bruce Wayne is not the man behind the mask, then everything we know about Gotham's protector, about the very essence of what Batman represents, comes into question. This isn't simply a matter of unmasking a mystery. This is the unraveling of the myth itself. What would it mean for Gotham if Batman were not a single person, but a shadowy collective, a force that could be inhabited by anyone willing to step into the darkness? Would the city lose its symbol of hope, or would it continue to thrive, driven by the idea of Batman, not just the man himself? Consider Gotham's endless cycle of crime. It thrives on chaos. And in a city where corruption runs rampant, the need for a figure like Batman has always been undeniable. The dark streets demand a protector, someone to strike fear into the hearts of those who threaten the city's fragile peace. But what if the true Batman is a figure who understands this? Someone who has never been restricted by the idea of one man behind the mask. What if the Batman persona has been carefully orchestrated, carefully constructed as a symbol, with a true identity of Gotham's protector being intentionally concealed? The idea that Bruce Wayne is the only person capable of being Batman is a comforting one, a single man driven by loss, motivated by the need for justice. But it's also a dangerous assumption. Gotham is a city that needs Batman, and Batman is far more than one man. He's an idea, a symbol of something greater, something that transcends any single person. The real Batman could be someone who simply recognizes the potential of the role, who sees the need for a figure like Batman and understands that the power of that persona lies in its ability to inspire, not in the identity of the man behind the mask. Gotham is a city filled with people who have suffered, people who have faced pain and loss, and who could rise to the occasion if they understood what Batman's role truly is. The idea of Batman as a symbol, rather than a man, means that anyone from the shadows could step up to the plate. They wouldn't need to be Bruce Wayne. They wouldn't need to have the same background, the same wealth, or the same training. They would need to have the will to fight, to sacrifice themselves for the greater good of Gotham. This person could be anyone who feels the weight of the city's suffering, who sees the need to carry the mantle and in doing so becomes a protector in their own right. The question then becomes, who has taken the role of Batman when Bruce Wayne is not the one in the cowl? If Bruce Wayne is not truly Batman, is it possible that someone else has stepped into the role, someone with their own deep connection to Gotham, but a connection that Bruce Wayne himself may not be fully aware of? The possibility of a hidden Batman, an individual whose motivations and identity are masked even from Bruce himself, is a disturbing yet intriguing thought. Gotham is a city that has always been ripe for manipulation, its undercurrents of corruption and chaos, begging for someone to take the reins and steer the city back towards some semblance of justice. But what if the true mastermind behind Batman's existence is someone who has spent their life watching Gotham's decline and has decided to take on the mantle not for personal gain, but for something much larger? Could someone like Alfred Pennyworth be the true architect behind Batman's rise? After all, Alfred has spent years as Bruce's most trusted confidant, his father figure, his guide. What if Alfred, who has been the voice of reason in Batman's ear, has always been the one orchestrating everything from behind the scenes. Perhaps Alfred's past holds darker secrets, ones that go beyond his role as the Wayne family butler. What if Alfred himself was once a man trained in the art of combat, a protector who saw the potential of Gotham and the need for a figure like Batman, and began shaping Bruce into the role, knowing that Gotham would need a symbol, not just a man? Alfred, as an enigmatic figure with a past filled with mystery, could be the real force behind the mask, choosing to step into the shadows and leave the world to believe that Bruce Wayne is Batman, while Alfred quietly takes the role of Gotham's protector. But the idea of Bruce Wayne not being the true Batman doesn't just stop with Alfred. Consider the possibility that Batman is a role taken on by several individuals over time, each seeing the need for a figure like the Dark Knight to rise in the darkest of hours. Batman could be a title passed from one person to another, each successor inheriting the responsibility of defending Gotham, not through genetics or birthright, but through a shared purpose. The bat signal, after all, is a call to action, and it could call on anyone with the strength, will, and determination to take on the mantle. It's a possibility that Bruce Wayne, in his own way, could have been manipulated into believing that he is the sole person capable of wearing the cowl, that his trauma and guilt made him uniquely suited to the role, but in truth, it's the city itself that needs Batman. Gotham needs its hero, but the face behind the mask could be anyone who sees the need to answer that call. What if the true Batman is not Bruce Wayne at all, but a collection of individuals over time? Gotham could have always had a hidden force working behind the scenes, a figure who passes on the role of Batman, who adapts and shifts with the times, learning from the past while evolving to meet the city's needs. The identity of Batman could be an ever-changing, ever-evolving one, an embodiment of a role that goes beyond the man who wears it. It's possible that Batman is more of an idea, a concept that is too important for any single individual to own. The identity of Batman could be passed on not just from one person to another, but as a mantle that is constantly shifting, adapting, and evolving to meet the demands of the city. So, if Bruce Wayne isn't Batman, the question remains, who is? And what does it mean for the very concept of Batman if his true identity is never revealed, if the mask is simply worn by those who have the will to fight for Gotham? Could Gotham's protector be an eternal, ever-shifting force that transcends the limitations of any one person, or has the true Batman always been hidden right in front of us, waiting for the right moment to step forward? Gotham needs Batman, and the legend of the Dark Knight is a force that cannot die, even if the man behind the mask is never truly known. The cycle continues, and the city waits for its next protector, the next individual who will rise in the shadows to take on the greatest responsibility of all, becoming Batman. As the mystery of Batman's true identity deepens, the implications grow far more profound. Gotham, a city perpetually shrouded in darkness and chaos, thrives on the notion that someone will always be there to protect it, to stand against the tide of crime that never seems to ebb. But what if that protector is not Bruce Wayne? The very idea raises unsettling questions not just about the man behind the mask, but about the nature of Gotham's endless need for Batman itself. Gotham's story is a tale of constant conflict, a never-ending battle between light and darkness. But if Batman is not Bruce Wayne, then who is left to carry that torch? The answer to that question may be more complicated than simply pointing to another individual. It could mean that Batman is a mantle passed through generations, an identity that Gotham itself dictates. One that becomes more than a singular person, but a legacy, an eternal role that can be assumed by anyone willing to take on the city's dark responsibility. Batman as a symbol is something that transcends individual identity. This would mean that Bruce Wayne, the man we've always believed to be the one true Batman, may only be the latest in a long line of individuals who have taken on the role when Gotham needed them most. The title of Batman could be far older than Bruce Wayne's own involvement, and it could continue well beyond his time. The theory that Bruce Wayne is not Batman opens up the possibility that the true Batman identity is not fixed. It's not bound to a single body, nor to a single mind. The real Batman could be a shadowy figure, known only to those who wear the mask. Each successor, each individual who adopts the mantle, brings their own motivations, experiences, and psychological scars to the role. But the core principle of Batman remains the same, a figure who sacrifices everything to protect Gotham, to strike fear into the hearts of criminals, and to become the symbol of hope in a city ruled by darkness. But if Batman is an idea, a symbol rather than a man, then who exactly is carrying that symbol forward? Could Alfred Pennyworth, ever the loyal confidant, be someone who has quietly orchestrated the Batman mythos, manipulating Bruce Wayne's life to ensure that Gotham always has its protector? If Alfred, with his own mysterious background, understood the depths of Gotham's despair and its endless need for Batman, he could have been working in the shadows long before Bruce Wayne ever donned the cape and cowl. Perhaps Alfred has been the true architect behind Gotham's protector, guiding Bruce Wayne along the path without the young billionaire ever realizing it. Yet, the possibility doesn't end with Alfred. What if someone else has been playing the role of Batman? What if it was a figure entirely outside of Bruce Wayne's orbit? Gotham's need for a protector is perennial, its demand never-ending. The real Batman, as the city's true savior, may have been someone who rose from the shadows of Gotham's underbelly, someone who took up the mantle to protect Gotham's soul, even if it meant never stepping into the light. This individual may be someone so connected to the city's past, to its hidden secrets, that no one suspected their involvement. The real Batman could be a legacy, a title passed down in secret from one individual to the next, never revealing itself until the moment is right for a new protector to rise. The notion of Batman as a role rather than a single man creates an entirely new layer to the mythology. Perhaps Gotham's darkness doesn't demand a single individual, but a series of Batmen, a shadowy protector who will never be fully understood, only feared. This figure may not even have a concrete identity, or at least not a consistent one. Every iteration of Batman would be shaped by the times, by the circumstances of the city's constant corruption. Each new Batman could be the result of someone stepping forward when Gotham cries out for justice. Bruce Wayne may have been merely one chapter in this ongoing story, not the end of it. Each time Gotham finds itself on the brink of collapse, the mask of Batman is picked up by a new person who believes that they alone can answer the city's call. The identity of Batman, then, could be a living, breathing thing, one that has been passed down through generations, shaped by the darkest corners of Gotham. This would also explain the seemingly impossible nature of Batman's survival. Gotham is a city that demands sacrifice, that tests the limits of anyone who dares to fight for it. The role of Batman could have been passed between many individuals over the years, each taking on the role for their own reasons, whether it's driven by vengeance, justice, or simply the desire to protect the city. Every Batman would bring their own interpretation of what Gotham needs, and perhaps this ever-shifting nature of the Batman persona is why it endures, no matter the circumstances. The symbol is stronger than the man. But this theory also forces us to reconsider the true nature of Bruce Wayne's involvement. Was he truly the first to take on the role? Or has he simply been the most visible? His persona of the orphaned billionaire, a man defined by grief and loss, made him the perfect candidate for Gotham's protector. But could it be that Bruce Wayne's emotional trauma was used to manipulate him into accepting the mantle of Batman? Gotham needed a protector, but what if Bruce Wayne was just a convenient vessel for a role that had to be filled by someone? Perhaps Bruce's motivations were not entirely his own. Perhaps the real man behind the mask had already planned this, seeing the potential for Gotham's salvation in a masked figure who would rise whenever Gotham's need became most dire. Bruce Wayne's connection to Batman could be a construction, designed by forces both seen and unseen, ensuring that Gotham's Dark Knight would always return when the city needed him most. This idea challenges everything we thought we knew about Batman. It forces us to ask uncomfortable questions. What if the true Batman is not Bruce Wayne? What if the role of Gotham's protector is something more malleable, something that can be inhabited by anyone who understands the weight of that responsibility? What if the legend of Batman is larger than any single person and the city of Gotham knows that it will always need a Dark Knight, even if it must never know his true identity? If the role of Batman can be passed from one individual to another, then Bruce Wayne is merely the latest in a long line of protectors who have been shaped by the darkness of Gotham. Batman's real identity isn't about who wears the mask, but about the symbol itself, a force that transcends any one man. Bruce Wayne's part in this myth is just a moment in the ever-unfolding story of Gotham, a story that will continue to evolve, with or without him. Batman's role is timeless, as eternal as the city itself, because it is Gotham's soul that demands it. And as long as the city cries out for justice, as long as the shadows linger over its streets, there will always be a Batman, even if the man behind the mask is never truly revealed. As the story of Gotham and its protector evolves, the notion that Batman could be anyone becomes even more unsettling. The city itself, with its crumbling infrastructure, corrupt politicians, and endless parade of criminals, demands a figure like Batman. But if Bruce Wayne isn't the one behind the mask, what does that say about the city's deep need for a protector? Could Gotham be an entity in itself, a place so full of contradictions, so filled with darkness, that it requires a symbol, a force to embody its complex existence? The more one contemplates this, the more the realization sets in. Batman is not just a man, he's the embodiment of Gotham's spirit, a manifestation of its ever-present fight between order and chaos. If Batman is a role that anyone can take, then the city's protector is more than just a vigilante with a moral code. He is a living, breathing idea, an idea that transcends identity and time. The symbol of Batman is rooted in Gotham's need for justice, but it's also shaped by the city's insatiable appetite for darkness. Gotham requires Batman not as a single man, but as a protector who can rise whenever the city falls into chaos, someone who will rise from the depths of darkness and fight to restore a semblance of order. What if Batman is not a singular individual, but a title passed on to anyone who is capable of understanding the gravity of the city's need? Perhaps the real Batman has always been more than one person, and Bruce Wayne is simply the latest man to occupy the role, a placeholder in a larger, ongoing struggle. Gotham itself has shaped the narrative of Batman. Over the years, the city's suffering and corruption have continually demanded a protector, someone who would not rest until the darkness was confronted. But Gotham's evil is not something that can be permanently vanquished. In many ways, the city's corruption and chaos are as eternal as Batman's struggle. It's not just the criminals that need Batman. Gotham itself needs him because its soul is entwined with the Dark Knight's existence. If Bruce Wayne is not the original Batman, then it's possible that the true force behind the mask is something greater, a power greater than any one person. Batman, as a concept, can never truly die. He may change, adapt, or evolve, but the role of Gotham's protector will always be necessary. The idea that Batman could be anyone is troubling, yet it holds an undeniable truth. The idea of Batman is so powerful that it could be carried on by anyone who understands the weight of the responsibility. Gotham has seen countless generations of people rise to face its darkness, and each one, in some way, has shaped the protector. Gotham requires, if Bruce Wayne isn't Batman, then the real question becomes, who else is taking on this burden? Who else has the will, the strength, and the willingness to sacrifice everything for Gotham's soul? Could it be someone from Bruce's past, an ally, a trusted confidant, or even someone he has overlooked? The more you think about it, the more the possibilities seem endless. The case for Alfred Pennyworth is a compelling one. A man who has spent decades serving the Wayne family. Alfred's knowledge of Gotham, its history, and its deep-rooted need for a protector puts him in a unique position to understand the city's soul. Alfred has always been the one constant in Bruce Wayne's life, the one person who has been with him through thick and thin. But what if Alfred has been more than just a butler? What if he's been quietly orchestrating the entire operation, ensuring that Gotham's protector never fades, never falters? Alfred's own background, with its military training and past connections, makes him a fascinating candidate for someone who would know exactly how to train, guide, and shape a protector who could continue to fight for Gotham's future. What if Alfred was the true architect of Batman's rise? What if Bruce Wayne was simply a vehicle for Alfred's vision of Gotham's protector? Bruce's tragic backstory, his emotional scars, and his desire for justice made him the perfect candidate. But perhaps Alfred's true mission was to shape the man into a legend, one who would become the city's most enduring symbol. In this theory, Bruce Wayne would be an unwitting participant, driven by emotions that Alfred has carefully guided him through. But even more intriguing is the idea that the true Batman may not be a single person at all, but rather a collective of individuals, each taking the mantle when Gotham's need becomes most dire. Imagine a shadowy figure who watches over the city, an individual who understands the responsibility that comes with wearing the mask, but keeps their true identity hidden, playing a role that has been passed down through time. Perhaps Gotham itself has always been the protector. The city has chosen those worthy of carrying the Batman mantle, giving rise to someone who will always answer the call. Batman is not a single person, but a role that continues evolving through the years, shifting its face and identity as Gotham needs it most. The city itself demands a protector, but Batman is not confined to just one man. Gotham is constantly shifting, constantly decaying, and its protector must shift with it. The mask of Batman can be worn by anyone who answers the call, as long as they are willing to sacrifice themselves for Gotham's soul. In this scenario, Bruce Wayne's role as Batman is nothing more than a chapter in the city's endless story, a pivotal chapter, but one that will fade as the city demands a new protector. Batman, as an idea, is larger than any one individual. The idea of Gotham's protector has always been more important than the identity of the man who wears the cowl. Gotham needs Batman because the city's darkness will never truly fade. Batman is the light in the shadows, but he can never completely eliminate the darkness, and so, the role of Batman must always be passed on. The true Batman could be someone who has already stepped into the shadows, waiting for the right moment to take on the mantle once more. What if Batman is a title passed down in secrecy, one that can be taken on by any individual who understands the weight of Gotham's burden? What if Bruce Wayne's rise to become Batman was merely the latest evolution of an idea that stretches back through Gotham's history? Gotham's protector is not a man. Batman is a force, an idea that has continued through the ages, carried by different individuals, each chosen by the city. It's possible that Bruce Wayne was never the only man to wear the cowl, and perhaps he was never meant to be the last. The more one delves into the mystery of who Batman truly is, the more unsettling the possibilities become. Gotham's need for its protector is as eternal as the darkness that pervades the city. Batman has always been the symbol of hope, the vigilante who rises to fight the criminal underworld. But what if the very identity of Batman is not tied to a single person? What if Batman is not a man at all, but rather a force, an idea that manifests in different individuals at different times in Gotham's history? Bruce Wayne may have been the most famous of those individuals, but what if he's just one chapter in the larger story of Batman? The idea that Batman's true identity is more fluid, more adaptable than previously thought, opens up a world of new possibilities. Gotham has always been in need of a protector, someone who can rise when the city falls into despair. But what if the role of Batman is not meant to be held by one person alone? What if Gotham's need for Batman is something that transcends any individual, and the person behind the mask can be anyone who takes it up, as long as they have the will to fight for the city? The symbol of Batman could have always been larger than the individual, larger than Bruce Wayne. Each time Gotham descends into chaos, the mantle of Batman could be passed on to someone new, someone who is prepared to take on the burden. Batman's identity, then, is not fixed. It is not something bound to a single person. It is a title, a role, a legacy that can be assumed by anyone capable of stepping into the shadows and fighting the city's endless darkness. Gotham, a city of shifting allegiances, ever-changing chaos, would always need Batman, and the mask of Batman could be worn by anyone who understands that the city cannot be saved by conventional means. Gotham needs its protector to be a symbol, and that symbol is bigger than any one person's life. But the deeper you look into the history of Gotham, the more this theory seems not only possible but inevitable. Bruce Wayne, for all his wealth, intellect, and dedication, was merely a man who stepped into a role that has been needed by Gotham for centuries. His origins, his desire for vengeance, his loss, all those personal reasons that shaped him into Batman, may have been the perfect circumstances for his rise, but they were not the only path. Gotham's protector needs to be someone who can rise from tragedy, but they also need to embody the city's very contradictions. The true Batman could have been someone from Gotham's shadows, someone who understands the soul of the city more intimately than Bruce Wayne could have. What if the mask of Batman was always meant to be worn by different individuals, each chosen for their unique understanding of Gotham's dark heart? What if Bruce Wayne was simply the most recent man to step into the role, an heir to a tradition of masked protectors, but not the first? Gotham has always needed a Batman, but it might not have always needed Bruce Wayne to be that figure. The symbol of Batman, after all, is far more important than any one individual. As long as Gotham's need for justice remains, the symbol must persist. And the person who wears that mask could be anyone who rises to the challenge. The possibility that Bruce Wayne is not the first Batman raises the intriguing question of who came before him. If Gotham's darkness is so entrenched, so deeply rooted in the fabric of the city, could it be that there were other Batmans, other protectors, long before Bruce Wayne donned the cowl. Batman, in this sense, would not be just a singular protector, but a title passed down when the city's chaos demands it. Gotham has always had its dark nights. There may have been many Batmen, each representing a different era, each embodying a different version of the symbol that Gotham requires. Bruce Wayne's personal trauma, the murder of his parents, his grief and anger, his quest for vengeance, may have made him the perfect candidate for Gotham's protector, but it also may have made him a man tied to his emotions, to the past. Could the true Batman be someone who is not bound by the same psychological limitations as Bruce Wayne? Someone who sees the city not as a personal crusade, but as a symbolic mission. The real Batman could be an individual who is not encumbered by emotional baggage, but who steps into the role purely because the city demands it. The idea of Batman could transcend any one person's personal suffering. Even within Bruce Wayne's inner circle, there are people who could have taken up the role of Batman had they understood the depths of the city's need. Alfred Pennyworth, with his military background and his long-standing connection to the Wayne family, has always been Bruce's most trusted ally. What if, for all his loyalty, Alfred had also secretly trained for a moment when Gotham needed a new Batman, one who would embody the role in a way that Bruce Wayne never could? Alfred, after all, has spent his life not only protecting Bruce, but also protecting the idea of Batman. What if his loyalty to Gotham went beyond serving Bruce, and he knew all along that the role of Batman could be filled by someone more suited to the task? Yet the notion that Bruce Wayne may not be the true Batman forces us to confront another uncomfortable possibility. What if the true identity of Batman is a carefully constructed illusion, designed to maintain the city's belief that Gotham can only be saved by one person? Batman could be a collective of individuals, a group of people who each embody the mask for a time, each taking on the role to fight for Gotham's future. Perhaps Gotham has always needed a figure like Batman, but the mask could be passed on, not bound to a singular identity, but to anyone capable of carrying the weight of the city's soul. This raises the question of whether Bruce Wayne was merely a placeholder in a long line of Batmen. Could it be that the real Batman is someone who exists outside of Bruce's influence, someone who has taken the role for their own reasons, their own sense of justice? Perhaps Gotham's very need for a Batman is a cycle, one that transcends the lives of individual men and is continually repeated as long as Gotham needs its protector. Each Batman brings something new to the role, but each also carries the same burden to be Gotham's shadow, its protector, its symbol of hope. The more you examine it, the more you realize that Gotham has always required Batman, and the true protector could be anyone willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for the city. The symbol of Batman transcends any single person because the need for Batman is greater than any one man. Bruce Wayne, for all his complexities, may have been the most obvious choice to become Gotham's protector, but the true Batman is someone who embodies the city's soul, someone willing to fight for justice, even if it means losing everything. The journey into Batman's true identity is not just about uncovering the man behind the mask, but about understanding the role itself, a role that is far more significant than any single person. Gotham needs Batman, but Batman could be anyone, as long as they are willing to carry the weight of the city's legacy. The mystery of Batman's true identity is just one layer in a far more complex puzzle, and the city will always need a protector, even if the face behind the mask is never truly revealed. Gotham's protector is not bound to a single identity, and that truth is what makes the legend of Batman eternal. As the theory of Batman's true identity continues to unravel, it becomes increasingly clear that Gotham is far more than a mere backdrop for Batman's personal crusade. It's a city that demands a protector, but one that doesn't require a singular identity. Gotham, with its corruption, crime, and chaos, has always been a city teetering on the edge. It needs something greater than a man, a symbol that can persist beyond the limitations of a single person's lifespan. This is where the concept of Batman as a role, one that can be passed from one person to another, begins to make sense. Gotham requires its protector, but Batman is not tied to any one individual. He is a role that embodies the city's eternal struggle, a struggle that transcends time and the individual men who have taken on the mantle. This perspective forces us to ask, how many Batmen have there been? If the idea of Batman is larger than Bruce Wayne, then perhaps Gotham has seen many different faces of its protector, each chosen by the circumstances of the time. Bruce Wayne was simply the most recent man to take up the mantle, but Gotham's need for Batman didn't begin and end with him. This theory suggests that the identity of Batman is fluid, able to adapt to the needs of Gotham at any given moment. Gotham's eternal battle against crime, against its own moral decay, has required many different Batmen over the years, and each one took on the mantle for their own reasons. Whether driven by grief, revenge, or a sense of duty, each protector stepped forward when the city called for a savior, embodying the same symbol of hope and fear that Gotham requires. But if Bruce Wayne isn't the one true Batman, then what does it mean for the city of Gotham? Could it be that the city itself is the true constant in this eternal cycle, a force that creates the need for Batman? Gotham's corruption is cyclical, always shifting, always finding new ways to challenge the protector who steps up. The city needs Batman, and perhaps Batman is a figure that has always been filled by whoever is most capable of taking on the role. There is something profoundly unsettling about the idea that Batman's true identity is not fixed. What if it's not about who wears the mask, but about what the mask represents? Perhaps the Batman persona is more of a state of mind, one that anyone who is dedicated enough can adopt. Consider the larger historical implications. If Batman is not Bruce Wayne, then what about the other protectors who have come before him? Gotham's history is littered with figures who have been shaped by the city's darkness. What if the mantle of Batman has been worn by multiple individuals, each one of them brought into existence by Gotham's need for a protector? Bruce Wayne's role as Gotham's savior may have been merely the most recent iteration of the Batman legend, but it could be that others have donned the cowl in the past, and those who come after him will continue the cycle. This theory raises unsettling questions about the nature of Bruce Wayne's identity. If he is not truly Batman, then what does it mean for his character? Bruce Wayne's story has always been about loss, about the death of his parents, and the vow he made to protect Gotham from suffering. But what if his grief, his motivation, his very existence were simply the catalyst for someone else to step into the role of Batman? Perhaps Gotham's darkness saw in Bruce Wayne someone with the ability to rise to the occasion, someone with the resources and skills to take on the mantle. But Bruce Wayne himself may have been manipulated into the role, his deep emotional wounds making him susceptible to becoming Gotham's protector. The true Batman may have been someone entirely different, someone whose identity has never been revealed, someone who saw Gotham's need and rose to meet it. Could this unknown individual have been someone who came before Bruce, someone perhaps connected to Gotham's history in ways Bruce never knew? Gotham's dark past is filled with mysterious figures, corrupt officials, secret organizations, hidden alliances, What if one of these figures, someone far more tied to Gotham's history than Bruce Wayne ever could be, had taken the mantle of Batman long before Bruce ever even thought about vengeance? Could there be a lineage of Batmen stretching back to the origins of Gotham itself? Perhaps Batman is not a role meant for any one person, but a calling that is passed down through generations, each new protector stepping forward to answer the city's desperate cry for help. And what if this isn't a role that needs to be filled by a man at all? Could it be that Batman is not a person, but a symbol, one that represents the eternal fight against Gotham's darkness? The idea that Batman is not defined by any singular identity changes everything about the way we understand Gotham's protector. Perhaps the cowl is not meant to be worn by one person, but by those who rise in Gotham's darkest hours, willing to fight when the city calls for a savior. The role of Batman could be something that transcends the man, a title that anyone could take on, not bound by the rules of one life, one individual. It is possible that Bruce Wayne is merely a part of a larger plan, a piece in a never-ending cycle that has yet to play out. The city needs Batman, but it doesn't need Bruce Wayne to be the Batman. What if the true purpose of Batman's existence was always to be a figure that could step into the role at any moment? Each person who has worn the mask brings with them their own version of Gotham's justice, but the symbol itself endures. Gotham does not need Bruce Wayne, or even a man at all. It needs the symbol of Batman to rise when the city is at its lowest. It needs someone willing to embody the shadows and take the fight to the streets. Gotham's protector is not limited by the restrictions of a single person's soul, but by the enduring need for the city's soul to be protected, and that is why Batman will never truly die. The myth of Batman is far larger than Bruce Wayne's story. Gotham's struggle is eternal, and as long as the city continues to crumble under the weight of its darkness, Batman will rise again in one form or another. Bruce Wayne was merely one of the many individuals who could have taken the role, but he won't be the last. The true Batman is more than a man. He is a symbol that transcends identity, a role that can be taken by anyone who understands the city's needs. The idea that Batman could be anyone forces us to reframe not only Gotham's relationship with its protector, but also the very nature of Batman's mission. Batman is not simply a lone hero, fighting for justice against a corrupt system. He is a symbol, and symbols have the power to transcend time and individual identity. Gotham doesn't just need a person to fight crime, it needs the spirit of Batman to continue on, no matter the face behind the mask. The idea that Bruce Wayne is not the only person who can be Batman challenges the very foundation of Gotham's narrative. It suggests that Batman is not defined by a single individual but by a legacy, one that can be adopted by anyone who rises to the occasion. This notion creates a new layer of complexity. If Bruce Wayne isn't Batman, then the role itself becomes more significant than the man who wears it. Gotham's protector is more than just a vigilante. Batman embodies the city's eternal fight against itself, its never-ending struggle between order and chaos, hope and despair. The mantle of Batman is not simply a title, it is a reflection of the city's very soul. Whoever wears the mask must become the embodiment of Gotham's contradictions, understanding its darkness while still striving for a light that never quite emerges. In this framework, Batman is not defined by any one individual's personal trauma. Bruce Wayne's tragic backstory, the murder of his parents and the vengeance he sought, while crucial to his personal narrative, may not be what defines Batman at all. What defines Batman is his ability to rise above the chaos, his sacrifice, and his commitment to a moral code that transcends the individuals he faces. The true Batman is the symbol of hope, the one who rises not for personal redemption, but for the city's survival. This leaves us with unsettling possibilities. What if Gotham's greatest protector is someone who has never been seen, someone who has been quietly orchestrating the city's fate from the shadows? What if the true Batman's identity is meant to remain a mystery, hidden even from the very individuals who step into the role? The city is more than just a location. It is a living entity, and Batman could be the result of a force greater than the will of any single individual. The protector of Gotham, the embodiment of its darkest needs, could be anyone who is chosen to take up the mantle, and when the need arises, someone will always answer the call. Consider the possibility that Bruce Wayne was never the first Batman. Gotham's long history, marked by corruption, decay, and social unrest, has likely seen many protectors before Bruce Wayne. The mask of Batman, the very identity itself, could have been passed down through secretive individuals, each one carefully chosen to bear the weight of the city's protection, but without ever being fully known. Each protector, each Batman, could have taken on the mantle not for personal reasons, but because the city demanded it. The city's darkness creates the need for Batman, not just as an individual, but as a symbol that must always return. What if Gotham's soul requires Batman to constantly evolve? What if the real reason Bruce Wayne took on the role was because he was the right man at the right time, the one who could temporarily satisfy the city's call, but was never meant to be its permanent protector? Gotham, as a city, requires a protector who understands its inner struggles, someone who knows that its darkness can never be fully eradicated, but who still fights against it. The mask is the symbol of that never-ending fight, and the person behind it, whether it's Bruce Wayne or another, is secondary to the city's greater needs. What if Batman's true power is that he is a vessel for Gotham's soul? When one protector falls, another rises. The myth of Batman is so deeply ingrained in the fabric of the city that Gotham cannot exist without its protector. The darkness of Gotham cannot be defeated, but it can be contained, pushed back, and held at bay by a force that is more powerful than any single person. Batman is that force, not as a person, but as an eternal idea. If Bruce Wayne is not the first or last Batman, then the true identity of Gotham's protector could be someone who exists in the shadows, someone waiting for the city to cry out, for the moment when the mask must once again be worn. The real Batman is not defined by a face. It's defined by the idea of hope, the refusal to let darkness consume the city, the commitment to rise when the city needs him most. Perhaps Bruce Wayne's story is just one part of a much larger narrative, one that Gotham has seen before and will see again, with each new protector embodying the mask in their own way. This theory challenges us to reconsider Batman's role as Gotham's protector. Is Batman truly a man, or is he a symbol that can be passed from one individual to the next, an eternal force in the city's ongoing battle with itself? Could the true Batman be someone else entirely, someone who has already taken the mask, or someone who will take it in the future when the time is right? If Batman is a symbol that transcends one man, then the questions surrounding his identity are not just about uncovering the face behind the mask, but about understanding the city's soul. Gotham doesn't need a single Batman. It needs the eternal protector, the symbol that will never truly fade, as long as the city continues to fall into darkness. The legacy of Batman, as a symbol and as a protector, stretches far beyond the identity of any single individual. Gotham is a city that, by its very nature, breeds darkness, chaos, and corruption. Its very soul is steeped in conflict, and it is this conflict that constantly calls out for a protector, a figure who can stand against the tide of criminality and prevent the city from completely falling into the abyss. But what if that protector is not bound to one person? What if Batman is a force that can be embodied by anyone who is willing to take on the role? The true Batman may not be an individual, but a legacy passed down through the ages, a title that can be assumed by anyone who is ready to stand up and fight for Gotham. The idea that Bruce Wayne is not the only Batman is not just an abstract concept. It challenges everything we understand about Batman's purpose and his mission. Bruce Wayne may have been the most famous figure to take on the role, but he is far from the only one who could have filled the mask. The question of Batman's true identity becomes even more profound when we consider the idea of Gotham shaping the protector it needs. The city's darkness is not merely a backdrop, it is a living force, one that demands balance. Gotham requires Batman, but not just any man. It requires a figure who embodies its deepest struggles, someone who can stand between the city's light and its shadow. The idea of Batman as a symbol allows for this. The mantle can be worn by anyone who has the resolve to fight Gotham's endless battle, no matter who they are. Batman becomes more than a person. He becomes an idea, a vessel for the city's eternal struggle. Imagine a Gotham where Batman has been a presence for centuries, and over that time, multiple individuals have risen to wear the mask. What if the role of Batman is not static but fluid, passed from one protector to another as needed? What if each Batman is defined not by their individual traits but by the city's demands, stepping up to fight for Gotham's survival whenever the city faces its greatest crises? Gotham needs Batman, and it doesn't matter who wears the mask, as long as they are willing to sacrifice their humanity to protect the city's soul. If Batman is not a single person, then Bruce Wayne's connection to the role becomes less personal and more symbolic. He may have been chosen by fate, but he could have just as easily been anyone else. What makes Bruce Wayne special is not his family history, his wealth, or his intellect. It's his ability to embrace the burden Gotham demands of its protector. But even more chilling is the idea that Bruce Wayne could have been manipulated into the role, a figure who was molded by forces larger than himself, forces that knew that Gotham would always need a Batman, and that the person who answered the call would be expendable. Perhaps Bruce's entire life was shaped to lead him to the mask, but he was never the only one capable of becoming Gotham's protector. Could it be that Batman's true legacy is the ability to choose anyone to wear the mask, someone with the right qualities, the right resolve? Imagine that Bruce Wayne, with all his wealth and access to the finest training, was just the most obvious candidate for the role. But he was only chosen because the city's darkness required a protector who was emotionally connected to Gotham. Bruce's emotional trauma, his grief, his guilt, his desire for vengeance, made him the ideal candidate to carry the weight of the bat signal. But what if someone else, with a completely different background and different motivations, could have easily filled the role? What if Bruce Wayne wasn't the first and won't be the last? Gotham's darkness has always demanded a protector, and it is the city itself that defines who can be Batman. The idea that Batman is not Bruce Wayne suggests that the real protector of Gotham is not any one individual but the symbol of Batman, the idea that someone will always rise to fight the city's darkest forces. Batman is the embodiment of Gotham's eternal struggle against its own darkness, and as long as that struggle continues, there will be a protector who will answer the call. This forces us to reimagine Batman's legacy not as the story of one man's redemption, but as the ongoing saga of Gotham's protector, someone who will always rise when the city needs him. Gotham's soul requires Batman, not Bruce Wayne, not any one person, but the symbol that will always fight to restore balance to the city. Bruce Wayne's role as Batman could be seen as one chapter in the long history of Gotham's protector, and when that chapter ends, another will rise. The symbol of Batman is what is eternal, not the individual behind the mask. Gotham will always need Batman, and as long as the city demands justice, someone will always take the mask. Whether they are trained by the same forces that shaped Bruce or guided by other hands altogether, Batman's true identity is the idea itself, one that is constantly evolving, never fully defined by any one person. In this sense, Bruce Wayne becomes both the protector and the casualty. He is both the one who answers the call and the one who must eventually step aside, because Gotham's need for Batman is not about one man, but about the symbol itself. Batman's true legacy is that he is always the protector, always the force against the darkness that is Gotham, no matter who answers the call. Bruce Wayne, despite his importance in the narrative, is not the only person capable of being Batman. Gotham's true protector could be anyone who is willing to embrace the darkness that it demands, someone who can step into the role when Gotham needs them most. This theory leads us to one chilling truth. Batman is not defined by one person, but by the idea of Gotham's eternal need for a protector. Bruce Wayne was only a vessel, and the mask of Batman will always be passed on to someone new when the city calls for its savior. This eternal cycle is what defines the true nature of Batman, not the identity of the man behind the mask, but the symbol that has always been needed by Gotham. The true protector of the city could be anyone, and Bruce Wayne is only the latest in a long line of Batmen. The concept of Batman as a symbol, rather than a single man, opens up an entirely new perspective on Gotham and its eternal struggle with darkness. The more you examine Gotham's history, the clearer it becomes that this city has always needed Batman, not just as a person, but as a force that exists to stand against the chaos. This idea shifts the focus away from the man in the cape and cowl and toward the city itself, which has a strange way of calling forth its protector when it is at its most desperate. Gotham's cycle of crime and corruption, its endless suffering, demands someone who will always rise, no matter the face behind the mask. What if Batman is not a single individual at all, but rather a force of nature, something that exists within Gotham's very fabric? As the city descends into corruption, a figure emerges to fight back, not as a man, but as an embodiment of justice, of hope, and of unwavering resilience. The mask of Batman could be worn by anyone who understands that duty, who is willing to become something larger than themselves, someone willing to sacrifice their very humanity to save the city. This is where the theory starts to expand beyond the identity of Bruce Wayne and into the idea of Batman as a timeless vigilante force. What if Batman is a role that can be passed on through the ages? One that requires not only the strength to fight, but the wisdom to understand the city's soul. Gotham itself is so deeply entangled in corruption that it becomes almost impossible to imagine a Batman who could ever truly destroy the darkness. Batman doesn't rid Gotham of evil. Instead, he is the force that holds it at bay, the one who keeps the balance intact for as long as possible. The symbol of Batman is not tied to victory, but to the never-ending struggle, a fight that can never truly end, because the city itself will always need a protector. Could Bruce Wayne's involvement in this never-ending cycle simply be a necessary chapter, a man chosen to wear the mask at a particular time in Gotham's history. But who is not destined to be the only Batman? Bruce Wayne's personal trauma and his emotional connection to Gotham made him an ideal candidate to take on the mantle. But what if his rise to power wasn't accidental? What if his journey was shaped by larger forces, preparing him to step into the shoes of a role that is always needed to be filled? The symbol of Batman transcends Bruce Wayne's personal grief, his desire for vengeance, and his obsession with justice. Gotham needs Batman because it is a city built on contradictions, a place where the need for order is constantly clashing with the chaos that defines it. This duality is where Batman thrives. Batman is not merely a man with a cape and cowl. He is the answer to Gotham's own identity crisis, a figure who cannot be fully defined because the city itself cannot be defined. But if Bruce Wayne is not the only person to have been Batman, then what does it mean for the future of Gotham? Could there be other individuals waiting for their time to step forward, to take the mantle when Gotham calls out for justice once more? Could the true Batman be someone we haven't yet encountered, someone from Gotham's shadows, someone who has watched and waited for the right moment to emerge? It's a chilling thought, but one that speaks to the eternal nature of Gotham's need for Batman. Gotham cannot survive without its protector, and as long as the city faces darkness, there will always be a Batman to rise. In this scenario, Bruce Wayne is just one face of the many Batmen who have fought for Gotham's soul. Perhaps there are hidden figures in Gotham's past who have taken on the mantle before him, figures who were lost to history, their identities obscured, but their legacy carried on. Gotham may never fully know the truth behind its protectors, and that may be the point. Batman's true identity is not meant to be understood, but to be a figure that rises when needed, someone willing to fight for justice and to protect the city's heart from the darkness that threatens to engulf it. If Bruce Wayne is not the true Batman, then it follows that the legacy of Gotham's protector will continue far beyond his time. The symbol of Batman is immortal, not bound to the life of any one person, but to the eternal struggle of the city itself. Each Batman who steps into the role brings their own motivations, their own reasons for fighting, but all are united by the same purpose: to fight for a city that will never truly rest. Each Batman is another chapter in the never-ending story of Gotham, a story that will continue long after Bruce Wayne's time has passed. The truth about Batman's identity may not be as important as the role itself. Gotham needs Batman, but it doesn't need a single person to wear the mask. It needs the idea of Batman to live on, to rise when the darkness calls. Batman is not just a man, but a force of nature, a force that Gotham cannot live without, and as long as the city needs a protector, the symbol of Batman will never truly die. As we delve further into the mystery of Batman's true identity, we begin to understand that the protector of Gotham is more than a mere mortal. Gotham is a city constantly teetering between hope and despair, between order and chaos, and it has always required a figure who can embody that very balance. Batman is not just a symbol of justice. He is the embodiment of the city's contradictions. He is both its light and its darkness, its hope and its fear, its protector and its curse. But if Bruce Wayne is not the true Batman, what does that mean for the city and the legacy of its protector? The most unsettling aspect of this theory is the realization that Batman may not be bound to a single person. If Gotham's protector is merely a role, a force that can be assumed by anyone willing to sacrifice themselves for the city, then Bruce Wayne's involvement is just one iteration of the Batman legacy. Batman could be anyone who rises to answer the call, a person who understands that the city is too far gone for conventional solutions, someone who can embrace the darkness of Gotham and fight it with a symbol of light. The mantle of Batman is not defined by identity, but by purpose. The role of Gotham's protector is larger than any one man, and that is the truth behind Batman's existence. Gotham itself, as a city, shapes the protector it needs. The city's darkness calls forth Batman, and the role is filled by anyone who is ready to take it on. It's not about a man seeking redemption for personal loss. It's about the city demanding a protector, someone who is willing to sacrifice everything for a place that will never fully embrace peace. The mask of Batman is a symbol that endures because Gotham requires it. Gotham's greatest enemy is not its criminals. It is the city itself, a place so lost in its darkness that it needs someone to rise to push back against the tide of corruption. Batman is a necessity for the city's survival, not as a person but as a force that can stand in opposition to Gotham's very soul. This theory forces us to reconsider what it means to be Batman. If Bruce Wayne is not the only person who could have taken the mantle, then the idea of Batman becomes more significant than the individual behind the mask. Batman is a symbol of resistance, of defiance against the constant chaos of Gotham. It's a role that anyone can assume if they are willing to sacrifice their humanity, willing to put Gotham's needs above their own, and willing to become a shadow in the night. What if the true Batman is not bound by the constraints of Bruce Wayne's trauma, but is instead someone who understands the necessity of the symbol? Someone who sees the role of Gotham's protector not as a personal crusade, but as a larger fight for the city's soul, for the preservation of hope in a place that has long since abandoned it. If Batman is a title, not a man, then it raises new questions about Gotham itself. What is it about the city that demands such a protector? Why does Gotham's chaos always call forth a Batman? The answer lies in the very nature of the city. Gotham is a reflection of its protector, and the symbol of Batman is the city's soul, a reflection of Gotham's eternal struggle between light and dark. The very reason Batman must exist is because Gotham's chaos requires a constant, unyielding force to counterbalance it. Gotham cannot exist without its protector because its darkness is too great to be defeated by conventional means. The role of Batman is not just to fight crime, but to serve as the city's eternal counterbalance. Without Batman, Gotham would fall completely into chaos, its soul forever consumed by its own darkness. But the most unsettling implication of this theory is the idea that Batman could be anyone who steps forward to fulfill this role. What if Bruce Wayne's story was never meant to be the beginning and end of Batman's saga? What if Bruce Wayne was just one person chosen by fate, someone who took on the mantle of Batman because the city needed him in that moment? Bruce Wayne's rise to become Batman could have been guided by larger forces, by a force greater than himself. The city's need for a protector could have called forth Bruce Wayne, but it could also call forth someone else when the time is right. Batman is a force that transcends Bruce Wayne, a legacy that will never truly die as long as the city continues to call for its protector. In this sense, Bruce Wayne is not the end of Batman's story, but merely one chapter. His involvement in the myth of Batman may have been necessary for a time, but Gotham's soul requires something greater than the man himself. The symbol of Batman is eternal, and as long as Gotham needs its protector, there will always be someone willing to wear the mask. The true Batman is not defined by one individual, but by the force of justice and hope that the city requires. And when Gotham's darkness grows too strong, someone will rise to take the mantle, someone who can fight the city's battle, not for personal redemption, but for the greater good of Gotham. Perhaps the most haunting realization is this: Bruce Wayne's role as Batman is part of a much larger, more complex cycle. Gotham needs a protector, and that protector will always be found, whether it's Bruce Wayne, another individual, or even an unknown force pulling the strings behind the scenes. Batman is not Bruce Wayne. He is the idea of justice that will never die, a force that will always rise when Gotham calls. Gotham is a city born of contradictions, and it requires someone who can embody those contradictions, someone who is both shadow and light, both man and symbol. The true nature of Batman lies not in the individual who wears the mask, but in the eternal struggle between Gotham's soul and its darkness. The possibility of multiple Batmen and the fluidity of the Batman role opens up a new chapter in Gotham's legend. Would you like to explore how this idea could reshape the future of Batman, or perhaps dive deeper into the symbolism and legacy of Batman as a force of nature rather than a man? There are endless directions we can take this mystery, as Gotham's need for its protector is far from over. The cycle of Batman continues, whether we know the identity of the man or not. The implications of Batman as a symbol, rather than an individual, are far-reaching and unsettling. If Gotham's eternal protector can be anyone, then it suggests that Batman is not defined by his identity, but rather by the spirit of justice that he embodies. Gotham's darkness is so deeply ingrained in the city's very fabric that it demands someone who can always rise to oppose it, someone who will fight the city's inner turmoil. The true Batman, therefore, is not bound by Bruce Wayne's personal trauma or the legacy of his family. Rather, Batman is a role that transcends the individual, something that the city requires to counterbalance its own despair. Gotham is a place that is constantly in flux. Its corruption, greed, and moral decay are cyclical, constantly bringing new waves of crime and darkness that need to be opposed. It's no surprise that the symbol of Batman endures. Gotham needs Batman to survive, and this truth may be more complex than simply a person in a cape. Batman is the eternal answer to Gotham's need, a force that cannot be entirely eliminated. And while Bruce Wayne might be the most famous of Gotham's protectors, he could very well be just one of many. Bruce's journey could be merely the latest chapter in a long cyclical tale of Batman, one that will never truly end as long as Gotham continues to descend into chaos. This theory forces us to reconsider the psychological and emotional weight that Bruce Wayne carries. Bruce's motivations, his rage, his grief, his guilt, may have made him the perfect candidate for Batman, but they are also what shackle him to the role. Gotham's protector must transcend the limitations of personal trauma, because the city itself is a living, breathing entity, and it requires a figure who can embody its needs without being consumed by the same darkness that it fights against. Bruce Wayne's attachment to Gotham may have made him the first choice, but what if there were others before him who were chosen to wear the mask? What if Batman's true legacy lies not in one person, but in a string of protectors who have risen throughout Gotham's long history? The unsettling part of this theory is that the true identity of Batman might be something far greater than Bruce Wayne's singular journey. What if Batman is not a single person, but a force that is linked to the very essence of Gotham? Each time Gotham falls into darkness, a protector emerges, and that protector could come from anywhere. They do not need to be born into the Wayne family, nor do they need to be as emotionally connected to Gotham as Bruce was. Batman is not bound by bloodline or personal history. He is a reflection of Gotham's need for justice, When the city cries out, Batman answers, no matter who he is, what his past may be, or how he came to don the cowl. In this way, Bruce Wayne's time as Batman becomes just one piece of a much larger narrative. The city of Gotham requires Batman not because of his individual characteristics, but because he is the embodiment of the city's struggle against itself. The symbol of Batman exists as long as Gotham continues its cycle of darkness and corruption. Bruce Wayne's rise to Batman might have been a necessary part of the city's story, but it is only one chapter in a larger cycle of protectors who have been drawn to the city, bound by the same principles. This also raises the possibility that once Bruce's time as Batman is over, another individual will take the role, just as he did before, continuing the cycle that Gotham requires. Consider the role of Gotham's villains in all this. If Batman is truly a symbol rather than an individual, then the city's darkness will always create the need for him. Gotham's criminals, in this sense, become part of the cycle. Their existence is as necessary as Batman's, because without them, there would be no reason for Batman to rise. Batman's villains, like the Joker, Two-Face, and the Riddler, are not just enemies. They are reflections of the very darkness that Batman seeks to fight. Gotham's criminals and Batman's mission are inextricably linked, both products of the same cycle of light and dark, good and evil. Each time a new villain rises, Gotham's need for a new Batman to oppose them becomes all the more apparent. If Gotham needs Batman, then it's not just the idea of justice that Batman represents, but the idea of opposition. Gotham's darkness cannot be defeated. It can only be countered, held at bay by a protector who is willing to embody the city's deepest contradictions. This is why the idea of Batman can never die. The role, the symbol, transcends any one person, because Gotham will always need someone to stand in opposition to its darkness, someone who will fight, even if the fight seems endless, even if the darkness can never be fully eradicated. Bruce Wayne's mission as Batman is not to rid Gotham of evil. It's to fight for Gotham's soul, to remind the city that there is still a flicker of hope even in its darkest moments. But the nature of Gotham is such that the fight is eternal, and as long as Gotham's soul is torn, Batman must rise. If Bruce Wayne isn't the only one to wear the mask, if the role of Batman can be passed down through generations, then Gotham's struggle will continue, and the protector will always rise, ready to take on the challenge, no matter who he is. As we continue to unravel the layers of Batman's existence, the reality of Gotham's protector becomes ever more complex and unsettling. The notion that Batman is not a singular entity tied to Bruce Wayne, but a role that is inherited or assumed by others, presents new questions not only about the nature of Gotham's darkness, but about the symbol itself. The more we think about the city's need for a Batman, the clearer it becomes that Gotham's eternal struggle against chaos requires a protector who transcends the limitations of any one person. This is a cycle that continues as long as Gotham continues to descend into the abyss. The idea that Bruce Wayne is not the sole person to wear the mask doesn't simply challenge our understanding of Batman as a character, but it forces us to rethink the very essence of Gotham itself. Gotham's existence is bound to chaos and corruption. It is not a city that can ever find true peace, not because it doesn't deserve it, but because the darkness is so entrenched in its soul that it demands an eternal counterbalance, someone or something who will always stand between order and disorder. Batman's role, therefore, is not only to fight against the criminals who haunt Gotham's streets, but to stand as the very embodiment of the city's soul, representing that endless struggle for order in a city defined by chaos. If Gotham were ever to find peace, Batman would no longer be necessary, But as long as the city's heart is blackened by corruption, the role of Batman will never cease. So, if Bruce Wayne is not the only Batman, what are the implications of this cycle of Batman protectors? Perhaps Gotham has always had protectors, chosen at different times in the city's history, who were able to embody the mask for as long as Gotham needed them. Bruce Wayne may have been one of the most visible Batmen, but he was never the first, and he won't be the last. Batman, as a symbol, is not exclusive to any one person. It is a role defined by the need of the city itself. When the darkness grows too great, someone will step forward, but who that person is will change, because the mask is not bound by a single identity. The notion of multiple Batmen raises another chilling possibility. What if the role of Batman is not just passed on from one individual to the next, but is continuously shaped by those who answer Gotham's call? Every Batman who steps into the role will bring their own experiences, motivations, and ideas of justice. Gotham's protector is not a static figure, but one who adapts to the city's evolving needs. Each new individual who wears the cowl would have their own interpretation of the role, their own understanding of what it means to fight for justice in a city that refuses to change. Batman's power, then, lies not in the consistency of his identity, but in the enduring power of his symbol. But how is the symbol of Batman passed on? What is it that drives someone to take on the mantle of the Dark Knight? Gotham is a city ripe with pain and loss, and it has long been a place where individuals, shaped by their own personal tragedies, find a purpose in fighting for justice. Perhaps the true Batman is someone who has been broken by the city's darkness, yet still finds the strength to rise above it. The role of Batman demands sacrifice, not only of one's body and mind, but of one's identity. Each individual who steps forward to wear the mask must be willing to give up their past, their very self, and become something more, a symbol of justice that will stand against the darkness, no matter how endless that fight may be. What makes the idea of multiple Batmen particularly unsettling is the ever-changing nature of the role. Bruce Wayne, for all his determination and the emotional scars he bears, might not have been the only person to step forward. Gotham's call for a protector is not one that comes from a place of personal vengeance or need for redemption, but from a deeper need to fight the darkness, to stand against the tide of chaos. Perhaps the real Batman is someone who was not defined by personal loss or trauma, but by their understanding of Gotham's soul, someone who understands that Gotham must always have a protector, even if that protector is destined to be lost to the city itself. In this framework, the true power of Batman is not his ability to fight crime, but his ability to inspire. He is a symbol that can be inhabited by anyone, an idea that can be passed from one individual to the next. Gotham is a city that, by its very nature, needs Batman, and the role of Batman is as fluid as the city itself. Bruce Wayne may have been the first face that Gotham saw, but the idea of Batman will never die because the city requires him. He is not defined by who wears the mask, but by the force of justice and hope that he represents. What makes Batman's legacy eternal is that Gotham's darkness will always need a counterbalance. And the mask is more than just a symbol of one man's fight. Batman is a force, a necessity, something that will rise when the city cries out for a protector. The idea of Batman is not just tied to Bruce Wayne's personal story, but to the city's endless struggle. The legacy of Batman is one that transcends the individual, and as long as Gotham continues to need its protector, there will always be someone who steps forward, ready to take on the mantle. Batman's true identity is not confined to any one person, but to the symbol of the city's undying need for justice. Gotham's eternal cycle of crime, corruption, and hope will continue, and so will the role of Batman. The symbol will never die, because Gotham will never stop needing someone to rise to protect it. Whether it's Bruce Wayne or someone else who wears the mask, the truth is that Gotham's protector is not defined by identity, but by the eternal fight against the city's darkness. Gotham needs Batman, and he will always be there, no matter the face behind the mask. As we continue to unravel the layers of Gotham's protector, we are confronted with an unsettling reality. The eternal cycle of Batman, a force that transcends the identity of any single person. Gotham's need for Batman is not limited by one individual's lifespan. It is not tied to the tragic story of Bruce Wayne or his journey of vengeance. Batman, as a symbol, is a timeless concept, one that embodies the very struggle of the city itself. Gotham is not simply a backdrop for Batman's crusade. It is a city that shapes and molds its protector, just as much as Batman shapes the city he protects. The role of Batman is inherently tied to Gotham's soul, and as long as Gotham is trapped in its endless cycle of decay and darkness, Batman must continue to rise. Batman's true power lies in his symbolic nature, his ability to transcend the limits of any single person's identity. The idea of Batman is more than just a man in a cape. It is a manifestation of hope for a city that has long since lost its way. Gotham's need for a protector is not tied to a singular identity, but to a symbol that will always rise in its darkest hour. This is why Batman's legacy cannot die. Gotham needs him too much. The symbol of Batman is eternal, and it will always be filled by someone who can rise to answer the city's call. The face behind the mask may change, but the symbol of the Dark Knight remains constant. It is the role itself that matters, not the individual who wears the cowl. Gotham will always require a protector, and that protector can be anyone who understands the call of justice and the weight of the city's soul. What makes Batman's legacy so unique is that it is not a story confined to Bruce Wayne's personal vendetta. Bruce Wayne's journey, as compelling as it is only one part of the greater tapestry of Gotham's history. Gotham's darkness has always required someone to rise and take the fight to its criminal underworld. But that someone does not have to be Bruce Wayne. The idea that Batman is a role, an idea, rather than a singular identity, opens up endless possibilities. What if the real Batman is not a man, but a force, a symbol that transcends time? A concept that will always be passed on whenever the city falls into its darkest hours. Imagine, then, that Bruce Wayne is just one chapter in the history of Batman. A chapter that happens to be largely public and widely known, but one that will eventually fade, just like the chapters of those who came before him. Gotham has always required Batman, not as a personal crusade, but as a symbol of hope in a city drowning in despair. The role of Batman is larger than any single man, and Bruce Wayne was simply the latest person to fill it. Gotham does not need Batman to be Bruce Wayne. It needs him to be a protector of its soul, someone who can embody the light in the darkness, even if that light is destined to flicker and fade over time. If we accept that Batman is a symbol rather than a man, then it follows that the true identity of Batman is not locked within Bruce Wayne. Batman is the embodiment of Gotham's eternal struggle against the darkness that threatens to consume it. This is why Batman's symbol is so powerful, because it is timeless. As long as Gotham requires a protector, someone will rise to wear the mask, whether it's Bruce Wayne or another individual. Batman's true identity is not defined by a single person, but by the role itself, a role that is passed on to anyone who is willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. Consider the possibility that Bruce Wayne's rise to become Batman was not merely a personal decision, but rather the result of a deeper, more cosmic force that recognized the necessity of Gotham's protector. Bruce Wayne's personal tragedy may have set him on the path to becoming Batman, but the true force behind the role of Batman is something larger than any individual's personal experience. The role of Batman has always been needed, and Bruce Wayne was simply the most recent man chosen to answer that call. What if Gotham's very darkness demanded Batman to step forward at a certain time, and Bruce Wayne's personal journey was merely a catalyst for the greater myth of Gotham's protector? This raises a new question. If Batman is a role that can be filled by anyone, what does this mean for the future of the city and the legacy of Gotham's protector? As long as Gotham needs Batman, the role will always be filled, even if Bruce Wayne's time in the cowl comes to an end. The idea of Batman can never die, because the city's need for him is eternal, and that need transcends the identity of any individual. Batman is not bound by a single person, but by the city's eternal struggle, a struggle between order and chaos, between light and dark, that will never cease. If Gotham's need for Batman continues, who will step into the role next? What if the true Batman is already out there, waiting in the shadows, someone who has already embraced the symbol and is simply waiting for the right moment to rise? Gotham's protector is not one man, but an idea, an eternal force that will always find someone to carry the mantle. Bruce Wayne may have been the most public figure to ever wear the cowl, but the true power of Batman's legacy lies in the symbol itself, one that can be assumed by anyone who is willing to fight for Gotham, willing to stand against the darkness that threatens to consume the city. The idea that Batman's legacy transcends any one individual is both liberating and terrifying. It means that Gotham will always have a protector, no matter what happens. But it also means that the city's darkness will never truly be defeated, because Gotham will always need someone to rise and fight against it. The true Batman is not Bruce Wayne. He is the symbol that will never fade. The city will always need Batman, and Batman will always rise in some form to stand against Gotham's eternal darkness. As the idea of Batman as a symbol continues to take shape, it forces us to reconsider not only the nature of Gotham's protector, but also the very nature of Gotham itself. Gotham's eternal need for a figure like Batman is tied to its core essence. The city is trapped in a cycle of chaos and decay, and the role of Batman is not just about fighting crime, but about maintaining the balance between light and darkness that defines the city. Gotham cannot function without its protector, not because it is inherently evil, but because its very soul demands it. The idea of Batman is essential to Gotham's survival, and this idea is not limited by any one individual or time period. The role of Batman as a force that rises whenever Gotham's darkness becomes too great suggests that the city itself shapes its protector. The symbol of Batman is so powerful, so necessary, that it transcends any single man. As long as Gotham needs someone to stand in opposition to the darkness, Batman will be there. The symbol doesn't die, and the man behind the mask is secondary to the force that drives him. This is the true power of Batman. Not his abilities or his gadgets, but his timeless role as the embodiment of Gotham's struggle. Consider this: if Bruce Wayne is not the true Batman, then who is? Who is the person who rises to embody the symbol when Gotham needs its protector the most? The answer is unsettling because it suggests that anyone can be Batman. Anyone who understands the weight of the responsibility and is willing to sacrifice their own identity for the sake of the city. This idea opens up the possibility that Batman is not limited to just one person. He is not defined by his identity, but by his role in the ever-changing battle between Gotham's light and dark. Batman's true identity is not tied to a man, but to the symbol that embodies the city's eternal struggle. The symbol of Batman transcends Gotham's need for any one person. As long as the city continues to descend into chaos, someone will rise to fight against it. Gotham cannot live without its protector. But Batman is more than just a man in a mask. He is the embodiment of justice, and justice cannot be owned by one individual. This is why the symbol of Batman can never die. No matter who wears the mask, the role will always remain because Gotham will always need Batman. Whether it is Bruce Wayne, someone from Gotham's shadows, or an entirely new figure, the spirit of Batman will continue to protect Gotham. In this sense, Bruce Wayne is simply a part of a larger cycle of Batman protectors. Bruce was chosen to rise at a particular time, but his time will eventually come to an end. Gotham will always need someone to embody the spirit of Batman to continue the fight against the corruption and evil that define the city. But what if the true Batman is someone we have not yet seen? What if the person behind the mask is someone who has already stepped forward, someone whose identity is hidden, waiting for the right moment to become Gotham's protector? Gotham's darkness has a strange way of calling forth its protector, and the role of Batman is never truly filled by any one individual. The possibility of multiple Batmen suggests that Gotham's soul is constantly evolving, and as it evolves, so too must its protector. The idea that the mask of Batman can be passed on from one person to another is both liberating and terrifying. It means that Batman is not a static figure. He is a symbol that changes with the times. As Gotham shifts, so too must its protector. Perhaps Gotham's need for Batman is not tied to the individual, but to the eternal cycle of light and dark. Batman is a role that adapts, not because the protector must change, but because Gotham's struggles evolve. Bruce Wayne may have been the first true Batman in modern history, but his identity may not be as important as we once thought. The legacy of Batman is much larger than any one man. The symbol lives on, passed from one individual to another, because Gotham needs it. Batman's identity is timeless, and as long as Gotham continues to spiral, someone will always rise to protect it. This ever-changing nature of Batman is what makes him so vital. He is not tied to one person, but to the symbol that Gotham demands. Batman is a necessity for the city's survival, not because the man is needed, but because the idea of Batman is more powerful than any one individual's life. What if we have been looking at Gotham's protector all wrong? What if Batman is not bound by any one person and is instead a living, breathing force that shapes the protector to fit Gotham's needs? Bruce Wayne was just one manifestation of this force. His story is significant, but not because he is the only Batman. It's significant because he is a part of a larger legacy. The real Batman is not the man behind the mask, but the eternal idea of Batman, a symbol that transcends any single protector. The idea of Batman is one that stretches far beyond the confines of any single individual, and as we continue to peel back the layers of Gotham's protector, we begin to understand just how deeply intertwined the symbol of Batman is with the very soul of Gotham. Gotham is a city defined by its contradictions, hope and despair, light and darkness, justice and corruption. The city's very existence demands a protector who can stand against its most terrifying forces. But that protector does not have to be one singular person. Batman's true identity is not defined by Bruce Wayne or any individual, but by the symbol he represents. Bruce Wayne's journey has been crucial, no doubt, in shaping Gotham's history and defining the myth of Batman. His personal trauma, his desire for justice, and his moral code have given him the strength to rise as Gotham's protector. But it is important to remember that Gotham's soul is not bound to a single man. Gotham needs Batman because Batman represents something more than just a person. He is a manifestation of the city's eternal need for balance, for hope in the face of overwhelming darkness. Gotham's darkness demands a counterbalance, a figure who can rise when the city falls into despair, someone who can stand tall against the forces of crime and corruption, even if those forces never truly go away. Batman is the force that opposes Gotham's eternal struggle, and his role is far greater than any one individual could embody. The role of Batman is not static, it's fluid, and it's shaped by the changing needs of Gotham. Bruce Wayne's time as Batman will eventually end, but Gotham's need for its protector will continue. Batman is a symbol, and symbols are timeless. As long as Gotham remains trapped in its endless cycle of darkness, there will always be someone who rises to fill the mantle. Batman is not Bruce Wayne, but the eternal symbol that has been passed on through generations, a protector who fights for justice, even when the odds seem insurmountable. Gotham's very essence requires Batman, and the mask will always be passed on to the next individual who is willing to fight for the city's soul. If we take this idea to its full conclusion, then we can see that Batman is not a singular man, but rather a role that embodies Gotham's struggles. The protector of Gotham is not defined by their identity, but by their willingness to rise against overwhelming odds. The city may call on many different Batmen over time, but the symbol will always remain the same. Gotham's protector will always be the one who answers that call, the symbol of justice that stands against the forces of chaos. The deeper truth that emerges here is both comforting and terrifying. Gotham will always need Batman, but the identity of the man behind the mask will never matter as much as the role itself. Batman's power lies not in who wears the cowl, but in what he represents. The symbol of Batman is eternal, and as long as the city remains mired in its darkness, someone will always step up to protect it. Gotham's greatest need is not for a man, but for the symbol of Batman, the eternal protector who will fight to protect the city's soul, even when the battle seems endless. The more we contemplate the nature of Batman's identity, the more it becomes clear that Gotham's protector is a necessity, not just a figure of vengeance or justice. The city has always needed Batman, not because of Bruce Wayne's personal crusade, but because the symbol of Batman stands against the darkness that defines Gotham. Bruce Wayne's personal motivations may have shaped his journey, but the role of Batman transcends those motivations. It is not about one man's quest for redemption or vengeance. It is about the eternal struggle between Gotham's light and dark, and the need for a protector who will always rise when the city calls. This realization forces us to ask, who will be the next Batman? The answer is not important, for the true protector of Gotham is not bound to one individual, but to the symbol itself. The next Batman could be anyone who understands the weight of Gotham's soul and is willing to carry the burden of its eternal battle. Whether it is someone we already know or someone entirely new, the cycle of Batman's protectors will continue, and Gotham will always have its savior when the time comes. As long as Gotham needs Batman, the role will be filled, the symbol will endure, and the city's protector will rise again no matter who wears the mask. Batman is not defined by the man, but by the idea, an idea that will never die because Gotham will always need someone to fight for its soul. Batman is eternal, and as long as Gotham exists, the protector will always rise, answering the city's call, standing against the darkness that threatens to consume it. This is the true nature of Batman's legacy. The role will never die, and Gotham will always have its protector, whether that protector is Bruce Wayne or someone else entirely. The mystery behind Batman's true identity is not about unmasking the man, but about understanding the role itself. Gotham's protector is not bound by a singular identity. Batman is the eternal symbol of Gotham's struggle, and the mask will always be passed on to the next individual who understands the city's soul and is willing to carry the weight of its protector. The deeper we delve into the nature of Batman as a symbol, the more it becomes clear that the legacy of Gotham's protector will continue through time, no matter who answers the call. Would you like to explore more of the mysterious forces that shape the identity of Batman, or perhaps discuss the enduring impact of his legacy on Gotham's future? There is still much to uncover in the story of Batman, and the mystery of his identity may never be fully revealed, but the symbol will always rise.